Hello students, this is Shweta Roy. This video is for chapter 3 Geography part 1. Our changing earth. In this video we are going to discuss about lithospheric plates, earth movements. In this we will discuss about the endogenic forces and earthquake. So these are some of the topics which we are going to discuss in this video. Now, as we have already read in our previous class that there are number of landforms on the earth. So our earth consists of number of landforms, like our earth has plains like grasslands. We have mountains which are the raised areas. We have plateaus which are basically the tablelands. We have hills, we have ridges, we have valleys, etc. So these types of landforms are there on our earth. Now all these landform seems to be static, but in actual they are not static, they are dynamic. And to support this statement, we have a famous geologist named J. Tujo Wilson, who was there in 1968. He said that Earth, instead of appearing as an inert statue, is a living mobile thing. It appears as that it is inert statue. That means it looks like standing statue which cannot move, but actually it is living. It can move from one place to another. So by this we can understand that earth is not stable. It is not at same place. It is not at one place. It is constantly being shaped and reshaped. And these landforms are subjected to the change by climatic process. This happens through the climatic processes. Actually, the landforms are still in motion. They are still moving. When we talk about the early time, in very early time, there was no separate continent. At present, we have separate continents, but it was not there in the early time. All the continents which we have today was a single huge landmass. It was a single huge landmass which was called Pangaea, and it was a supercontinent. Now with the time, this Pangaea split into pieces, and it became different continents, and slowly and gradually these pieces started to move away from each other and got their present location. Earlier they were all together. Now these moving land pieces are also termed as or known as lithospheric plates. Now here you can see the Pangaea. This is all combined. We have all our continents together, which was earlier a supercontinent, Pangaea, which slowly and gradually with the passes of time split different continents. So here we can see this. Millions of years ago this process took place. You can see the time is divided, the process is divided into Paleozoic, then we have Mesozoic, then we have Cenozoic, and like this you can see at the end of Paleozoic, all the land masses were joined in supercontinent Pangaea. Now middle Mesozoic, Pangaea split into northern and southern land masses, you can see. And after that, by the end of Mesozoic, they separated into present day continent, different continents. And now after that, uh, just 10 million years ago, the forming of Himalaya and the youngest of Earth's major mountain ranges took place. This formation took place, and like this continent came into the present day location. So you can see earlier it was all together like a supercontinent, and now we have the current continents which are far away from each other. Now here you can see the lithospheric plates. So our lithosphere is broken into number of plates, many different plates, many number of plates it is broken into, and thus it is known as lithospheric plates. And actually these lithospheric plates are massive, irregularly shaped piece of rock, solid rock, and generally they are composed of continental and oceanic both lithosphere. You can see in the picture, and here we have a clear picture of that. You can see the plates are there. So first is divergent. The second place we have, it is convergent. In the first one, plates are separate. In second one, the plates are colliding with each other, they collide, and it is convergent. And third one, it is plates are slip past each other, it is slipping. You can see the movement of the plates here. And last one is the transform. So first is divergent, second is convergent, and third is transform. And you can see their movement. First one is separate plates, second is plates collide with each other, third is the plates slip past with each other. So you can see the difference here. Now there are 7 major and several minor lithospheric plates on the lithosphere. Now we will discuss about the movement of Earth. So the lithospheric plates, they move horizontally, they move very slowly, and every year they move about a few millimeter. Now why do they move? Why do the lithospheric plates move? Actually they move because the molten magma inside the earth is moving. The molten magma we have inside the earth, and that is moving, and that is responsible for the movement of lithospheric plates. And this molten magma, it moves in the circular manner. Now this molten magma and other forces which we have inside the earth, which is active inside the earth, actually make several changes on the earth crust. So whatever activity is going on inside the earth, within the earth, that is causing many changes on our earth's crust, on the uppermost layer of the earth. And some of these changes suddenly come in front of us. That means they suddenly occur, and some are gradually, some take time to occur. Now The forces that affect the Earth's crust are divided into two categories: endogenic force and exogenic force. You can see a chart here. Types of forces responsible for Earth movements: endogenic force, exogenic force. In endogenic force, it is divided into two forces: sudden forces and slow forces. So in sudden forces, you can see some of the effect of the sudden forces are earthquake, it suddenly occurs; volcanoes suddenly erupt; landslide suddenly happens. If we talk about the slow forces, the effect can be building mountains. Mountain cannot be built suddenly. It takes lots of time to form, millions of years, centuries to form. So building mountains is a slow force. Now when we go to exogenic force, there we have erosional and depositional effect. You would have read about erosion, erosion of sea, erosion of land, erosion of wind. You would have read about that. In that, some part of that, if we talk about rock erosion, some part of the rock is broken from it, and uh, it is removed from that, it moved from that. And depositional means when something is depositing at some place. So in exogenic forces, we have erosional and depositional effect. In that, we have rivers are formed with the erosional and depositional effect. Sea are formed like that. Glaciers are formed like that. Winds are formed like that. So here you can see the endogenic forces and their effects, and exogenic forces and their effects. So here we will read about endogenic forces. Endogenic is comprised of two words. It is combination of two words. Endo means within, inside, within. And genic means origin. So actually it is which is originated from inside, from within. It is originated within. So these forces which actually act inside our earth, those are known as endogenic forces. These forces are sometimes sudden forces, and other times they are slow forces. Now sudden forces produce sudden movements, and slow forces produce slow movements of the lithospheric plate. So we will discuss about the sudden movement. So sudden movement in the lithospheric plate bring abrupt changes on the earth's surface. These movements cause earthquakes, they cause volcanoes, they cause landslides, also they cause extreme destruction on the earth's surface. Now we will discuss about the earthquake. Any sudden vibration on the earth crust due to a natural cause which produce a trembling is known as an earthquake. When as we already discussed, there is magma inside the earth, and the molten magma is moving in the circular manner. It is moving, and that movement is responsible for the movement of lithospheric plates. So when this lithospheric plate moves suddenly, when it is moving slowly, every time it is moving, but when it is moving slowly, uh, that is not harming, that is not causing any sudden movement. But when it is all of sudden it is moving, uh, the earth vibrates. The sudden movement of lithospheric plates cause the vibration in the earth, and this vibration is called earthquake. Now the place below the ground where the movement originated, where the movement of earthquake originated, where it started, that place is called focus. The place where the movement of earthquake started, originated, is called focus. Now the point on the earth's surface that is vertically above the point of origin is called epicenter. The earthquake waves travel outwards from the epicenter and cause maximum destruction in the surrounding areas. Here you can see the epicenter. First you can see the focus inside the ground, under the ground, where the earthquake started, originated, that is focus. The inside circle is the focus. Now the vertical line which is going up on the ground, that is epicenter. And this is how the earthquake is generated. When the plate moves, it moves either towards or away from each other, and when this movement is not smooth, it is all of sudden, then this friction cause the plate to get stuck, and this cause pressure to build up earthquake. Now on the epicenter the destruction is most, and when it is going away from epicenter the destruction is less. It is decreased. Now the waves generated by the earthquake are known as earthquake or seismic waves. And these waves are recorded by an instrument which is called seismograph. Now if the scientists study this seismic waves, they can understand about this earthquake, and the study of this seismic waves is known as seismology. Now the intensity of energy released by an earthquake is measured by the Richter scale, and it was devised by Charles F. Richter in 1935. Now here we can see the magnitude of earth and effects. You would have heard in the news also that this is the magnitude of the earth. So if it is 2.0 or less, it feels very little. If it is 5.0 or more, damage from falling things. Things can fall down and it can cause damage to you. 6.0 or more, it is very strong. And 7.0 or more, the major earthquake that causes maximum destruction. So you can see the magnitude of the earth, and next time when you read this hear this in news, you can understand how much destruction it can cause and how strong it is. Now earthquake as a hazard. Hazard is danger, risk, how dangerous it is. So it is a sudden and natural hazard. It can occur any time of the year. There is no specific time that this time it can occur. Now it brings sudden impact with any warning signs. Now it is natural happening, but still the human cannot predict about it. Yet the same time they can minimize its adverse effects by using the following steps. So how can we protect ourselves or minimize the impacts of earthquake? So there should be a special type of structure of buildings which can minimize the impact of earthquake. or now the on the seismic zones at the in the areas which have high risk in the seismic zones, there special type of structure and building should be developed so that minimum damage will be there. Also, people should be advised to construct earthquake resistance buildings. There should be public awareness programs, sensitization and training program should be there for public awareness. Now, if there is an earthquake, people should take shelter under a kitchen counter, table or desk, against an inside corner or wall. You should not stand on the corners or on the walls because it may collapse. So you should take shelter under a kitchen or a table or a desk. This kind of things. Now, people should also stay away from fireplaces, chimneys, glass windows, mirrors, picture frames, etc. because these things may collapse on you, may fall on you, and it may cause damage to you. Also, people should not adopt some common earthquake prediction methods such as animals, especially dogs, show their abnormal behavior. Fish in the ponds get agitated. Snakes come on the surface. So, these kind of common predictions for earthquake we should adopt. Animals can sense these things better than human. We human don't have that kind of sense, but these animals can sense these things. So these kind of predictions methods can be adopted. Now the waves which generate during the occurrence of earthquake, they are known as seismic waves. We already discussed that we have seismic waves, and we have seismograph to measure the seismic waves, and we have seismology, which is the study of seismic waves. So these seismic waves are of three types: primary, secondary and long waves. Now this primary is also called longitudinal waves, and it travels fastest speed through solid materials. Now we have secondary. Secondary is also called the transverse waves, and these waves can't pass through liquid material. Now the long waves are also called surface waves, and these waves affect only the surface of the earth. So here you can see the primary waves can go fastest than through the solid material. Secondary waves, they cannot pass through the liquid material. Long waves, they affect only the surface of the earth. Thank you everyone, and I hope you all understood all the topics taught in this video.